Folks. I'm guessing everyone can hear me okay. I see we have four people here, and I thought I would just sort of open things up to questions. If anyone has questions they want to ask about our channel, about uh, how we how we find our stories, how we organize events where we shoot the stories, or uh, how we review comments and the ones we might delete and all, whatever you guys want to know. Does anybody have any questions out there that I could ask? My name's Glenn Muse. I'm the director at Texas Pictures. I'm the guy behind the camera for all of the stories in the fentanyl poisoning series and pretty much everything else that's on our camera. Hello, Karma. We talked before, right? You were you were there for a premiere, maybe, or some such thing. It seems like. I feel like I've seen your name before in the chat. Is that right? XL Karma. I don't know what to make of that. Wow, we have 33 viewers. Yes, do you think grants would help with your cause? Yeah, I imagine they could. I don't know the process for securing grants. I know that there's a whole profession wrapped up around writing grants, and we don't have that right now. What helps our cause most is the revenue that comes from YouTube, from the commercials that run with our stories. There's something very, very freeing and powerful about not having a sponsor that we have any sort of accountability to. So there's value to that. Kim from Michigan. Hi, thanks for enlightening the world. Well, thanks, Kim. Kim from Michigan. Do we know you? We're going to be going to Michigan sometime very soon in the next 2 or 3 months. I'm on a grant at the methadone clinic. Yeah, there's some rehab clinics and other recovery facilities that operate on grants that come through the United Way and other resources like that. They're great stuff. It's a little different for what we're doing because sometimes we wind up doing something that makes an agency, a law enforcement agency, or maybe a hospital not look so good. And the more the more resources that we're accountable to, like the United Way or whatever resource the grant comes from, the less freedom we have to to tell it like we see it. Kind of hate to say it that way, but it's broadcast news is accountable to their advertisers, and they have a direct relationship with their advertisers. In between us and the advertisers on our channel is YouTube, and so we have to follow YouTube guidelines, but we don't have to govern our content the way we would otherwise. So there's some real freedom to doing it this way. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm behind now. A Chihuahua named Karma. Okay, it'll get easier to catch up if we keep getting stuff like that. I'm a year away from my PhD and was taught how to write them. I know we should never share personal information online. Okay, Karma, you're welcome to email Texas Pictures. If you wanna talk about this further, you can email us at info@texas-pictures.com, and I'll get the email, and I'll likely be the one to reply. Fred's, hi from the UK. I have 2 teenage daughters. How do I protect thee? Which I assume that means how do I protect them? Uh, I believe that the real key is just talking to your kids a lot. Tell them what your concerns are and what your fears are, and just be straight with them. You can show them some of our programs or programs like ours that were created by other people. Uh, we have one. There's one commenter who plays our stories in the car when they're running errands, and they have the kids in the car. They just kind of listen to them, and that seems like a pretty brilliant idea. The grant writing process is long and tedious. Bingo. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that lots of times. Mary Lane Murray, your work is so well done. How do you balance everything like being involved in such heavy and emotional topics? I hope you and your staff have support yourselves as you support the subjects. All right. The subjects are our support. The people we talk to, they're in a hard place. And when I sit down with one of these mothers or fathers are harder even. Uh, it's not that it's not tough, but the reward for me certainly outweighs the difficulty, because we'll do the story, we'll do the interview, and we get through it all, and when it's over, the storyteller that I was talking to, they there's something different about them when it's over. There's something. It isn't just relief that the process of being interviewed is done. It's bigger than that. There's this moment where they feel a little bit better. They feel like they managed to draw some sort of value out of their loss. They feel better, and maybe they only feel better for a little while, and maybe they only feel a little bit better. But that's awesome to me, to be a part of getting them there. And then after we've edited their story and we put it on our channel, it happens again that I get to see the storyteller or storytellers find some value, some purpose to their loss. And so it's not hard the way you would think it would be hard. It is easy because the benefit is so huge, not just for the audience, but for the storytellers that I get to meet. And I'm still connected with virtually all of them. We have a private Facebook page where people that have shared their stories with us and people who want to share their stories with us are all members and have exchanges. We're all still very connected, and it keeps growing. Okay, I'm way behind. So freedom is power. That's right, Patricia. Freedom is power. So right now we have no accountability other than to our storytellers and to our audience, and that's really what ought to be important. We don't have funding coming from anywhere other than the revenue that YouTube generates through the commercials that run with our stories. That's it. Just like any real television station. When do we talk to kids? What age? What age? Okay. Talking to kids. I think you kind of have to feel that out based on the kid. Some kids are up for it earlier than others, but there's ways to talk about it without talking to them as well. You can, like I said a little while ago, there's this one commenter who talks about how they play our stories in the car when they're running errands. You can engage with your kids in ways where you present it as something that's important for you to listen to, that you want to hear it, and you'd like them to help you understand it. And that'll make them engaged without turning it into something that might feel like a lecture to them. I don't know. Is that devious? What do you think? Maybe? I don't know. When do we talk to our kids? I just started watching the documentary and it's so sad, all these stories. Margaret, so we also have a series of recovery stories that have happier endings. And we have a series of human trafficking stories. There's not as many of those, but it's growing, and we're going to be creating more of those very soon. And those tend to have happy endings as well. And our American peace officer tends to have happy endings too. It's really just the fentanyl poisoning series that's not very happy. Very much appreciate you guys watching. Julie B, good morning. Good morning from Australia. Here we are, live as live can be. It is 4:10 in the afternoon, so I guess you would call that 16:10. I've been to Australia. I've been to Sydney, and I've been to Adelaide, Australia. I was, close to 20 years ago now. But when I got to my hotel in Adelaide, across the street was a bar. Not that I go to a lot of bars, but what was funny to me is the bar was having a poker tournament. It was a Texas Hold'em tournament. And there I am in Australia from Texas, and right across the street from my hotel is a little bit of Texas. So anyway, these families are amazing. Sharon, these families are amazing to tell their stories. I know it's hard, but their story may help others. Yeah, it is. It is. These families, these mothers and fathers and siblings, spouses, and friends, the people that we talk to. It's a wonderful experience for me, and not to. It really would be up to them, but they tend to feel like it was a wonderful experience to share their story. That the storytellers really seem to get something out of it. There's a big reward in that for me to get to do that for these people who suffered so much. Where was I? These families are amazing. Sheila, feel lighter, maybe. Yes, that is it. One of the storytellers, we were featured in a news program close to a year ago now, and there's this great clip that the photographer got of me hugging the storyteller, and she said it's after the interview, and she said, sharing brings healing to me. And I was wearing a microphone for the guy the guy who was shooting what we were doing. So the microphone's right here and right, like right here. And so I heard it very clear. And it's awesome, really. So yeah, so feel lighter. I think at least sometimes they feel like there's a value to the loved one they lost, some sort of lasting value. One of the things that I often tell the storytellers at the end of the interview, there's a couple of things that we do at the end of the interview. And one of them is I usually will tell them that the last part of a person's life is oftentimes, and maybe every time, someone else's lesson. And I tell them it's hardly a consolation, but it is important. And then I give them a role of lifesavers. It's a metaphor, It's way cool. Anyway, do I do stories? Wait, okay, I'm behind. Hold on. I'm in Houston, Texas. Amy, holy cow, I'm in Houston, Texas too. I could wave. Do you see me? Okay, Amy. Sorry. These families are amazing. Da, da, da. Let me catch up, folks. Okay. Beautiful response. Thank you. Kim, addiction is so heavy in the family and has been for years, hundreds of years. That's an awesome idea. What's an awesome idea? What's an awesome The lifesavers? It's the lifesavers, right? I have to order them off Amazon. It's hard to find lifesavers in rolls. But holy cow, it is so cool to just reach into my pocket and pull out a roll of lifesavers and gently hand it to the storyteller and say, this is for you. And usually there's this little bit of a puzzled look on their face. And then they give it a little bit of thought and they realize how it's a metaphor. And sometimes it makes them cry. It's very cool. Paula, I'm an addict in recovery. It took me 30 years to have a spiritual awakening. When does it become about the addict seeking spiritual guidance and less about human aid? Wow, I don't know how to answer that. I think that's different for everyone. Might be something better for a preacher to answer, but I think human aid and spiritual guidance are connected with each other. Maybe the more you help humans, maybe the more you provide human aid for other people who aren't as far along in the journey that you're on, as you help them, you help yourself find the spiritual aid. It's kind of a what would Jesus do thing, I suppose. Wow. Okay. Awesome idea. My family member used drugs and are in recovery now. I hope we have a lot of stories about recovery, and we're still making more. The recovery stories don't get nearly the amount of attention that the fentanyl poisoning stories get, but they're extremely important. We get a lot of comments from people who are in recovery or are hoping to be in recovery, and to be able to direct them from the fentanyl series to the recovery series and tell them that there's great examples of hope in that series, that means a lot. That's cool, right? The mug's cool, right? No, it's not all bourbon. Okay, so addiction is when we done out. Let me catch up. I'm trying to catch up, folks. Really, I am. My family member used drugs and are in recovery now. I hope. Amy, Diane, Dixie. I'm in Houston, where you are. I was wondering if you do stories on recovered drug addiction, and I had a suicide attempt, but after I've been happy and I survived. I like to tell people that, yeah, we do all of those things. Suicide's a tough topic on YouTube. YouTube's afraid of suicide. They're afraid of having. It's probably even bad that I'm saying the word right now. It's a topic that they're careful with because they don't want anyone to be drawn to some sort of action based on what they see on YouTube. So, but we have done one story about that, and we've done a bunch of stories about addiction recovery. We've also done stories about human trafficking. So yes, Amy, we do stories like all of those things. You're welcome to email us. Our email is info at texas-pictures.com. You can also find our email address on our website, and our email address is also on our YouTube channel. If you go to the About tab on our YouTube channel, you'll find the email address there as well. It's info at texas-pictures.com. All right, where am I at, Amy? Karma, the opposite of addiction is community. Okay, that's kind of profound. Uh, it's really what you're saying is addiction is solitude or isolation, and I can certainly see that. Paula, that happened to me. God saved me. Yes, God helped me on my drug recovery. So yes, the answer is God. Powerful answer. Okay, Paula, I don't know who you're talking about. I mean, Amy gave a powerful answer right there. Kim from Michigan, Margaret, prayers for you. Amy, glad you're here. From Kim. BGTS Freds watched a documentary about Australian drug trafficking. All the dealers claim to test for fentanyl in their stuff. Uh, yeah, maybe. Uh, we have test strips. It's kind of tricky to get test strips in Texas because they're not legal in Texas yet. And even though you can order them off of Amazon, you can't have them delivered in Texas. You have to order them and have them delivered to some state where they are legal, and then have someone. You got to have a friend in that state, and then they can mail them to you or whatever. So it's an elaborate process. Not that we've ever done that. So my son had an addiction to meth for many years, and he's been in and out of prison for years. Our pray goes this right time. People are dying. Yes, and here's the thing: we've been working with HIDA, the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Program, that's here in the Houston area, to develop a program to use in prisons and jails to remind people that are in custody how they're at a higher risk of an overdose when they get released, a lot higher risk, because they've been put through a sort of a forced detox while they're in custody, and when they get out, They want to celebrate, and a lot of people go towards their old habits when they want to celebrate, and they also go back to whatever their dose was when they went into custody, and their tolerance is worn down. So a dose that wasn't lethal when they went into custody can very much be lethal by the time they detox and get out of custody, get released. So that's a way important thing, that while your loved one is in custody, you should be talking to him or her about that. Just keep planning that in their heads so that when they get out, they know that their body isn't the same as when they went in. What's a documentary? Addiction is giving up everything for one thing. Recovery is giving up one thing for everything. Yeah, I saw that on Facebook, Mary. I'm not saying you saw it there, but yeah, that's kind of what it is. Addiction is the driving force for everything in a person's life. In a documentary we made about 6 years ago called The Last High, it's about synthetic cannabinoids. And in that documentary, we interviewed a psychiatrist who talks about how addiction just runs a person's entire life, that from the time they get up until they go to bed at night, everything is oriented around the task of finding that next fix. We also interviewed a homeless guy who was using synthetic cannabinoids, who basically said the same thing. Kathleen, I lost my son Hayden in 2022. The fentanyl poisoning, one pill. Very sorry, Kathleen. And Kim from Michigan, GL Paula. I'm sorry, I'm behind. I'm trying to catch up here. Email you see. What is my name? My name is Glenn Muse. It's at the end of most of the documentaries. There's a credit that has my name on it. Glenn Muse. Glenn with one N, Glen, because two N's is just kind of stupid. What for? Glen. Muse. And I'm the guy behind the camera for pretty much everything on the channel. I live in Long Island, New York. Yeah, we're going to Washington, D.C. Actually, we're going to Washington, D.C. tomorrow. Just for a day. Going to meet with a senator. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I'll let you know how it goes. Why do most of your documented deaths end without any prosecution despite proof of the supplier? So, Simon, that's a good question. That's a good question to put to law enforcement, or maybe not law enforcement. Maybe the question would be better put to prosecutors, because it's ultimately the prosecutor's decision whether to pursue charges or not. Some of our stories do. We're going to try to do some follow-ups, and once in a while there's a prosecution. Tucker Rowe and Cameron Stewart, they were both killed by the same dealer, and he's in custody and may have been sentenced. I'm not sure if he's been sentenced yet, but he's in federal custody or in federal prison right now. Another thing is it's a slow process. When someone dies from fentanyl poisoning, it usually takes the toxicology report to confirm it. And that is a process that could be 2 or 3 months, as long as 6 months for some of the stories that we've talked to. Uh, I'm trying not to be harsh on law enforcement here, uh, because that would be just drawing conclusions, not not addressing facts. But they are hard cases to pursue because of the slow process involved in confirming that fentanyl was involved, that it was indeed an overdose at all. So yeah, we have a couple of stories we're working on where it's pretty easy for us to find the villain. So you would you would think it would be pretty easy for law enforcement to find the villain as well, but maybe not. Am I caught up here? I'm getting caught up here. Okay, why the most documented? Where am I? I'll never know who gave him that pill. He was due to take the New York City bar exam. New York City. See, I saw S and I still said C. Okay, New York State bar exam in February 2023. That's terrible. So, Kathleen, we'll be shooting stories in Washington D.C. in a little over a month in May, and then after that we're going to Sacramento, and then after that, I believe Michigan. And the schedule just keeps kind of evolving over and over again. So I'm not sure, but we have, and all of you guys should know this. We have a private Facebook page that is made up of people that have shared their stories with us and people who want to share their stories with us. And anyone who wants to be a member of that group who has a story that they want to share, you're welcome to. You can email us info@texas-pictures.com in case you missed it the other times. And send us an email and I'll reply with a link that you can use to join the private Facebook group. Since it's private, you can't search for it and find it. Yet we have to send you a link. It has about 200 members right now. And most have either already shared their story or want to share their story. There's a couple of police officers in the group as well that are very supportive of what we're doing. There is a couple of addiction counselors in the group as well. And, a couple of nut jobs too, because nut jobs are everywhere. So, I'm so sorry for that. They have the phones of the people. Yeah, I don't understand how that. I don't understand how that works with the phones. The phones seem like clear cut, obvious evidence. One of our stories, Cameron White, Cameron White, all the information was there on his phone. And the story is one of the first stories we ever did. All the information is there on his phone. In the story, we even show pictures from the text messages in the story, and they didn't do anything. So, okay, let's see where I'm at. They said we don't have enough evidence. Yeah, Thank you, Paula. I'm almost 30 in a relationship with a beautiful, well-raised way to a beautiful life. You made the ultimate mistake. Pay you this life. Yes, it's terrible. I lost my son a year ago, Julie Trupner. The detective wouldn't listen to who I thought supplied him with the substance. It's so frustrating. There has been a couple of instances that I can't really go into in much depth, but there's been a couple of instances where we've kind of spoken to police departments, and that's led to a rejuvenated interest in cases. Just a couple of times. We're not a TV station. We're just a growing YouTube channel, but but they listen sometimes. Okay. Even if we given them proof, they always need more evidence. There's an expression in the production business, in the video production business, movie making, or whatever you call it. There's an expression that goes, "It's a lot easier to be done than to be satisfied." And sometimes when I hear about uh, what it's like with some of the dealing with some of these police departments, it reminds me of that expression. It's a lot easier to be done than to be satisfied. That might be the approach some agencies take when it comes to resolving these cases. Holy cow, we've been going for a while, huh? Commit a murder or a financial crime and watch them subpoena your phone. Yes, you're right, Michelle. Kim from Michigan. It is Julie. I'm sorry. Melania. Even if we given them proof, there's always want more evidence. Do you have criteria for your storytellers and what stories eventually get made? Are there any no-go situations that make the story untellable at the time you're made aware of the request? Gosh, Mary, the simple answer to that question is no. There is no-go situations for the stories we share. That's the simple answer. The more complicated answer would be no. There's no. People come to us, and we don't turn anyone away. We're still behind on stories that we shot in Florida. We're finally caught up with Kansas. We have stories that we shot in Florida that we haven't finished yet, and we have stories that we shot in Midland, Texas that we haven't finished yet. And and we're going to Washington D.C. tomorrow night. So we don't turn storytellers away. The way that we try to make these events happen. Thank you, Red. Thank you, Kane. Shift to shape. Good afternoon, Texas. Good afternoon. So here's the thing about how the storytelling process works. Typically, what happens is someone somewhere will contact me and want to share their story and say they're in Chicago. I'll explain to them how the process works, and I'll explain that when we travel for stories, it works best for us if we can have some sort of what we call a storytelling summit in whatever city they're in, And the way that works is someone local, like the person who contacted us, works with whatever local resources there are. A lot of times when someone contacts us, they have a they have a group that they're already a part of, or several groups that they're already a part of, that's related to fentanyl poisoning or addiction recovery or whatever. And so whoever it was that contacted us sort of becomes our local event coordinator, and they find us a location, and they help us find other stories, so that if we come to their area, we can shoot for a couple of days and shoot 6 to 8 stories a day in some location that works well, that is easy for everybody that wants to share their story in that area. So the big guidelines for a location would be, we need a space that's big enough to fit a full-size car in for us to set up for the interview process, and then an adjacent space that has uh, room for people to sort of wait and socialize a little bit and do that, because when these people get together, they all connect and bond pretty fast. And so it's a very cool thing. That's kind of basically how it works. And then once we have a location, we'll set a date, and once we have a date set, Texas Pictures will announce it on YouTube, and we'll announce it on our Facebook page, and I'll announce it on my Facebook page. I'll announce it on LinkedIn as well, and encourage other people to announce on Instagram and TikTok and whatever else. So I hope that answered your question somewhat. There's a book out called Blood Money, the Peter Government and Museum Law Revolution. Yeah, we've heard about that book. I think there's been several commenters who've brought up the book. Thank you, Radmila Kane. Thank you very much. Shift to Shape. I'm catching up. Here in North Carolina, they're prosecuting drug dealers who were known to sell drugs where someone died. Yes, in Texas, they're starting to work that way too, and in Florida as well. The laws are being changed, using the term poisoning instead of an overdose is one of the tools related to that. And so little by little, it's changing, and I don't, I feel like it has to be making a difference. That I feel like if it wasn't for those kinds of efforts, like the efforts to prosecute and the efforts to increase awareness, and I feel like there'd be more. All of that has to have saved some lives, I think. Texas Pictures, I'm so glad you're sharing people's stories of pain and loss. I keep telling the people it's our open borders. All right. Well, yeah, certainly the borders have something to do with it, but there's also the demand. If the demand goes away, then the borders don't matter. If there's no demand, there's no supply. When when Netflix put Blockbuster out of business, they didn't put Blockbuster out of business by going after the studios that made the movies that Blockbuster sold. They went after the customers. They went after the demand and gave them a better way. So, but yes, resolving the border issue uh, would have great value for a lot of reasons. Some that have to do with drugs, and some that do not. Which NC country is that? What? Oh, county. Oh, duh. Okay. Yeah, I haven't been reading long. Okay. I've watched many of your videos. Thank you, Roseanne. Thank you for watching. You guys know, some of you who might have joined us late, you guys know we have videos, we have stories that are not that have happy endings. We have stories of addiction recovery, and we have stories of human trafficking that are survivor stories, that are stories about victory. So we have those too. Thanks, Gina. When are you coming to Columbus, Ohio? Uh, wow. Well, I could sure use a map about now. So we're going to uh, Toledo. We're probably going to be in Toledo by midsummer. We're probably going to be in Toledo sometime before the end of July. But we don't have a date set yet. We just have an intention of getting to Toledo. My husband and I are now raising my nephew, and he did a community project for his peers on fentanyl. One pill can kill. I think that is a great. That's a great thing to get teenagers involved that way. There's one of the stories on our channel about a group called SAFE, Students Advocating Fentanyl Awareness. Uh, this they are setting up chapters of their organization all over the country. Anyone who has high school, even middle school age students can contact the the, the kids at SAFE. It is a grassroots, all student organization. Uh, can contact them, watch their video on our channel, and then you can contact them and make a chapter happen in their area. But speaking of helping students, here's something that we have as a long-term goal. There's three different documentaries on our channel that we produced using teams of teenage volunteers. That there's two documentaries that are about DWI that were made about 10 years apart. And in between those two is a documentary about synthetic cannabinoids. And all three of those were made with teenage volunteers who have some sort of career interest in filmmaking or journalism or law enforcement or counseling or writing, stuff like that. And so getting the volunteers involved does a lot to create opportunities for students to have real world experience related to their career interests. But it also does another thing. It also helps keep the content of the documentary focused on content that's well suited for an audience of their peers. But then there's this other thing that when you have teenagers involved, you have high school students involved, that opens doors. That opens uh, a lot of doors, and it leads to a lot of media coverage because students are involved, and so there's this exponential effect in how the project reaches a larger and larger and larger audience because there's high school students involved. And so we're working toward making a project like that happen with fentanyl, a project very much like a documentary on our channel called The Last High, which is about synthetic cannabinoids that we made, I want to say six years ago. All right, I think I'm behind. Mr. Glenn orders some merchandise. That's so cool. That's so cool. That's so. Milana, okay. Milana, you're in Houston, right? Right. Look, it's a mug. Is that cool? See, look, these are stories that matter. Holy cow, how cool is that? Yeah, I'm not feeling it, folks. You're not as impressed as I am. Okay. Yes, here in Clear Lake. Holy cow. Okay, Milana. Yeah, you should email me sometime. You've been following our channel a long time. If you should, yeah. Let's exchange emails or something. And yeah, I'd like to learn more about you and get some perspectives from you. So if you email us at info@texas-pictures.com. Because yeah, we're pretty much in Clear Lake as well. Now and then you'll hear planes from Ellington. Just anyway. So yeah, you should do that, Milana. So where am I? Dun, 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 dun. What happened to the Dare program that used to be in school? Okay, I don't know what happened. Uh, I'm really, I'm a video guy. Uh, I'm a journalist. I have a degree in journalism. I'm not. We do a lot of work with law enforcement, but I don't know what happened to the Dare program. But I did see reports that said the Dare program didn't work for the most part. That it tended to make people more likely to try rather than less. It had the opposite effect of what was intended. So I can tell you though, there's a lot of other efforts out there now. One of the big ones is Fentanyl Fathers. I'm on the board of Fentanyl Fathers. It's a national organization. The goal of the organization is to bring fentanyl awareness presentations to every high school and middle school in the country. It's just a lot of schools. And so I've done some presentations for Fentanyl Fathers in Austin and near Austin. I'll be doing some more in Houston. There's been tons of presentations that have happened in Florida. There's been presentations in Michigan, and There's been presentations in Alaska, and uh, I don't know. Right now, I think Fentanyl Fathers has made it into 11 or 12 states, but they keep growing. So I don't know for sure where they're at now. No funding for DARE. Okay, that would make sense. So the Fentanyl Fathers stuff, before I forget, there's a story on our channel about Fentanyl Fathers. You can search through our channel content and find them. So this mug's kind of a kick to me, but that's just me. I'm a little juvenile. So dun, 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 dun. Came from Michigan. All right, folks. So what else? What other questions? I'm sure as soon as we end the stream, I'm going to think about things that I should have said that I had forgotten. I do grants and funding are only recurring when programs can show results. Yes, being able to qualify a program with measurable results is vital, and that's one of the things that happens with Fentanyl Fathers. They spend a lot of time acquiring data from audiences before and after presentations to make sure that there is some measurable level of increased awareness of success in their audience. It's kind of cool. Glenn, did you hear about the big fentanyl drug bust in Tampa, Florida? No, I don't. I don't believe I did. Uh, Quantitative more than quantitative. What? Quantitative Excel karma, quantitative more than quantitative? I think maybe qualitative more than quantitative. Yeah, okay. Of course. Yeah. So, yeah. Of course, I'm going to believe that there's got to be a way video can fix all of this. Because I'm sure you guys have heard the expression, if your only tool is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. But I believe that video or film, or however you want to say it, is the most powerful thing on earth. If you think about it, if you think about anyone who supported or opposed the Vietnam War or apartheid, anyone, think about uh, Rodney King or Reginald Demme or George Floyd, any president since Eisenhower. There's a movie called Sideways that came out a few years ago that was about these couples that went touring wine country. And when that came out, sales of wine had a boost, and sales of a specific type of wine, Pinot, that's mentioned in the movie, enjoyed a higher spike in sales because of the movie. Or if you think about everything you know about shark attacks and why you know that, it's probably because of one movie, just one movie. So it can be incredibly powerful. Anyway, that was a rant. I hope that was fun for you guys. Grady Judd, what? Only just happened past week. Follow Sheriff Grady. Grady, yeah, okay, yeah, I have heard about Grady. Holy cow! So, so the other thing I want to talk to you guys about is that we do occasionally delete comments that people make, and so it doesn't happen often, but it does happen that any comment that is hurtful toward the storyteller, even if it's accurate, we'll delete it. If it's hurtful toward the storyteller, that's our priority. That storytellers, we protect them first, and nothing constructive comes from being hurtful toward the storyteller. Whatever it is, whatever point you want to make, there's a way to make it without hurting others. So we delete those. Basically, a comment needs to be constructive. There's three elements: constructive, necessary, and kind. And it needs to have at least two of those. It can be constructive and necessary and not be kind, and it'll get through. It'll be, if it's constructive and necessary, holy cow, that's important. If it's kind but isn't necessary, that'll probably get through too. If it's stupid but harmless, that'll get through too. We don't filter much. We delete things that are racist. We delete things that are hurtful toward the storyteller. We delete things that are dangerously inaccurate. And when I say dangerously inaccurate, what I mean is, for example, we had a commenter say that He could tell the difference between fake or counterfeit Percocet and genuine Percocet by smell. That he could identify fentanyl in a Percocet by smell. By smell. That's dangerously inaccurate. Fentanyl has no odor. So things like that will probably delete, maybe not right away. If the comment has been there for a while, we will reply explaining why it's not accurate and let that sit so that anyone who read the original comment is likely to see the reply. It's kind of a scary spot. So we delete that. So racist, dangerously inaccurate, hurtful toward the storytellers, and that's it. If it's just a stupid comment, uh, yeah, go for it. We'll let that. We don't. If it's political, if it comments that say it is all Biden's fault, or it's all Trump's fault, or it's the borders, or it's the Chinese, or it's the Mexicans, uh, we don't delete those. Don't really think fault is where the energy needs to go. The issue is the demand more than anything, I believe. But we let all those comments stay. If we delete something, uh, it's got to hurt someone, and that's it. Okay, let me see what I get. Shit, I got here. We're gonna wrap this up in a few minutes, though, because gosh, we've been talking for over an hour. And when I say we, clearly you guys aren't saying your type, and I'm just rambling endlessly. Michelle Lalonde. I've watched every video on this channel. I'd like to get involved to help in my area. Michelle, that sounds great. Where is your area? Uh, uh, you should email me, Michelle, at info@texas-pictures.com. I want to be able to way to do subtitles. Okay, so anyway, uh, uh, so Michelle, yes, you should email us and let us know what your interests are, what kind of things you'd like to do, because we're sort of all over these days. James, Kathleen, they moved the body. That's why they found nothing. Gosh, it sounds like I missed something. You should have a few moderators for your lives if you don't already have them. Yeah, that's a good idea. Moderators would be good. Uh, it's kind of tricky to figure out how that'll work, because at some point the paragraph that whatever commenter writes has to get in my head for me to answer it, and so it's kind of tricky. I'm sorry that you guys have to wait. It is such a powerful channel, born and raised in Texas, and I'm in recovery myself, so just very powerful and personal. So thank you. Stories in my own backyard takes a special meeting. Thank you, Nisha. Yeah, most of our stories are from Texas, but some of them are from uh, Kansas, Florida, New Mexico. There's one from Louisiana. There's one from Michigan. There's one from Oregon, and one from California. And we're all over. Hello, Chronic Gamer. I feel like I've seen your comments before. It is a cool mug right there. This mug, right. This mug. Yeah. There it is. Okay. It's also about empty now, so that means we're gonna have to write it. Chronic Gamer, hit thumbs up. Everybody should thumbs up. Yeah. Michelle, good. God bless you, Mr. Glenn. Thank you, Melina. So gosh, we've been on for over an hour, and a lot of you have been with us the whole time. That's really cool. So I'm gonna wrap it up, but I want to remind you some things. You guys can email us anytime. info@texas-pictures.com. Uh, it's in the About section of our channel, and it's also on our website, texas-pictures.com. If you go there, there's an email button, and that'll send you to the same email address. You're welcome to email for anything you have questions about. I know there's a few of you who I encourage to email us. And gosh, I know I'm forgetting something. I know I'm forgetting something. As soon as we sign off, I'll remember what it is. So we have upcoming summits in Sacramento, California, and Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is first. It's going to be at the end of May. It's 23rd, 24th, May 23rd, 24th.
Something like that. Friday and Saturday.
The Friday and Saturday around May 23rd and 24th. How's that? And then we're in Sacramento the 8th, June 8th-ish.
So,
It's all posted in our community section on our channel.
24th and 25th.
I'm sorry?
24th and 25th of May and June 7th and 8th.
June 7th and 8th, we're in Sacramento, California. Those are the big ones. Sometime later, probably July, we're going to be in or near Toledo and Michigan. Don't know where else. But appreciate you guys so very much. And we I have a dog. So appreciate you guys very much. And we will, we're always grateful to hear from you. And I guess that's it for now, folks. Let's see your dog, Coco. Coco, come here. All right, come here. Wow. All right. There we go. The dog. Coco. Yes, that's right, Kim. Coco. Mm-hmm. This is Coco. Washington State. You know, Michelle, we've heard from someone in Washington State. We have these Spokane. We have these potential locations in the early stages of development in several places in the country. One is in Washington. One is also in Portland, Oregon. Another one is in Kentucky. Another one is in Nashville. They're kind of all over. So we're tracking them loosely, but whenever we have a new one, we always announce it in the community section. So you got Coco here, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, so that's going to be it for now, folks. I'm going to sign off, but please, can the doctors tell if it was fentanyl and the person ODs but lives? Yes. They can. That's more of a doctor question, but we've heard from lots of cases where there's an overdose where they survive and there's still a toxicology screening that identifies fentanyl. And there's also testing the remaining material. Like if the victim has a container that has 2 pills in it, can test the other 2 pills. But yes, there is tests to run on the victim when the victim survives that identify fentanyl. That's what happened with Wade Green's story. Or should have happened with Wade Green's story. All right, so. All right, folks. So that's going to be it for us this time. Good time. Thank you for joining us all 27 of you, and thanks for the 39 thumbs up. Wait, can I give myself a thumbs up? Uh, can I? Can I? I guess not. All right. Thank you, Mary. All right. So you guys keep in touch. Message us in our community. Make comments on our stories. I read them all, pretty much. I try to read them all. We have memberships now. You can be a member. YouTube said it's a good idea. Members get to see programs a little early. There's one right now that'll become public probably tomorrow morning. But if you're a member, you can see it now. Being a member is $3 a month. YouTube folks told us it was a good idea. So that's it for now, folks. So thank you, Kim. Thank you, everybody. We will see you next time. Bye.